Joe presents Liquid Football.
Hello and welcome to Liquid Football and Joe. It's the show that takes you inside the dressing room and puts you in the boots of the players. Joining me this week, Carlton Cole and Shaun Wright-Phillips. And it was a short Premier League programme this weekend, and it feels as though the most important things that have happened this weekend and the things that it feels like we should talk about are the two instances involving racism. First of all, it was in Porto, where Moussa Marega had to be restrained by his teammates. He was trying to walk off, and it looked as though his teammates were trying to keep him on the pitch. That was during his side's 2-1 win over Vitoria. Marega scored the winner, but felt unable to continue because of the abuse that he said he suffered at it. Meanwhile, the BBC are not using Craig Ramage as a pundit. He criticised Derby's young black lads and said they needed bringing down a peg or two. I made the comments on BBC Radio Derby's sports team show after Saturday's 1-1 draw with Huddersfield. Kick It Out have said that his comments were thoughtless, racist stereotypes. We'll come on to that and sort of try to sort of draw a line between the two instances, because there are differences and obvious similarities. But first of all, Moussa Marega, there's the issue of the abuse that he suffered and how that makes a player feel in that instance. Because I think, Shaun, you've been there where it has been a crowd who've been in, and you've been in that position. It's hard, I feel like, for each person's feeling, as emotional and as strong and as powerful they may feel about it. Everyone's going to react differently, and my reaction when it happened to me was total shock. Couldn't really believe it, but then at the same time, the option of walking off the pitch wasn't available or wasn't something that people would have done. But so you were at the Bernabeu? Yes,
correct. In the friendly against Spain. It was all quite overwhelming, to be honest with you. But back then, it was just newspapers. It came out one day, and then, in a way, it was kind of forgotten about. I seem to somehow now, as retiring, speak about it a lot more than around the actual event.
So do you think it's a good thing that we're talking about it more now, as much as it was a bad thing that it was dealt with but swept under the carpet quite soon afterwards in the past?
Yeah, totally. I think it's massive that people are speaking about it of all races. It's not just obviously the black players or the abused players or anything like that. I feel like as a collective there's a lot more people speaking about the situation to try and help resolve it.
And obviously in this instance in Porto, it looks as though Marega is being held back from going off the pitch by his teammates. Would you have felt in that circumstance, like you said, it was in a slightly different environment, would you have felt that walking off the pitch would have been an option? Would your teammates, for example, have backed you, do you think?
I'd like to think so. I think, like Carlton will tell you himself, but when you go on a pitch as a team, you're meant to stick together through thick and through thin. Even if you feel like your players handled the situation wrongly, you're still meant to stand by him and then cross the bridges after in the change room as a team amongst you all. But I feel like his team made it look like he's fighting this battle on his own, and I can imagine how lonely he felt at that specific time.
Yeah, how did you feel watching him when it looked as though he was being stopped from leaving the pitch?
I had mixed feelings. Obviously, I can see where his teammates are coming from. Like, his teammates definitely, it's one of those ones where they was winning the game, and they was like trying to say, listen, we'll get through this part and then we'll deal with it afterwards. Don't come off the pitch. What did he score 2 goals already?
He scored the winning goal.
The winning goal, and that just shows you how passionate he felt about that situation. Do you know what I mean? So for him to be saying, I'm going to come off the field, we're winning the game, I've just scored the winning goal, he should be feeling really good about himself. But obviously he doesn't, because he's heard something in the crowd, and he's heard maybe a few punters giving it the big un. And I just think his teammates now sees that. Sometimes they have to be on the same page. I don't think they was all on the same page. He knew what he was going through, so he wanted the backup from his teammates, and he didn't receive that. And it's not, everyone could look at it from a different angle. I'll have my view on it, you'll have your view on it, you'll have your view on it, but at the end of the day, the player that walked off that field, he's had his view on it, and he's made it his time to like do something about it. And you can't fault him, and you can't judge him. It's just something that the game needs to get rid of at the moment, and it's just sad that's a talking point at the moment. But I just don't see where we're going to go if no one's going to be on the same page.
When you hear that kind of abuse, and it's not just in this one game, it has been in other games as well. The England-Bulgaria match was the most prominent in involving players from this country that we've seen recently or heard recently. What does that feel like to see that? Because here there are, well, has it improved? First of all, I don't want to be the person to say that it feels like it's improved, even if it's slightly. But is it?
Well, what I would say, what has improved. See, when you went through that stuff in Spain, remember I was with England under 21s, and I had it the day before. Darren Bent said it on something, another outlet, that a banana got thrown on the pitch towards me, and then he'd seen it, and then we was talking about it and everything, but we didn't actually do nothing about it on that time there, because we was actually confused, and we'd never actually been through that before. So that was the first time we've ever been through such racism. And we didn't actually take it as racism at the time. We were kind of confused to what it was. What did that banana mean? Do you know what I mean? Like, but I know we're laughing about it. Like, we laugh about it now. But at that time, if we was actually clued up, then and seen it for what it really was, then we would have probably reacted different. At the time, we didn't actually realise that we was actually subjected to racism. And I was actually looking at the banana thinking, right, that's some nutrients there. I could eat that and I could go again. Do you know what I mean? And the way you
John Barnes did that, didn't he?
Yeah. No. John Barnes done the flick, didn't he?
He
done the flick. He didn't beat the banana. He didn't.
No, he didn't.
I think it was Dani Alves, wasn't it?
Was it
Alves.
Alves done that.
Yeah,
but I was years ahead of him. I was actually thinking that already. But like I stumbled into that one. But what I was saying, like, what we need to look at is like, because that time when you was going through that, we didn't actually have the support of the country behind us or our teammates behind us to just say, do you know what, that's happened, we're walking off. Because we wasn't actually in that frame of mind, and we didn't know that was the right thing to do back then. But now, you see players now, because they're not taking any crap anymore, basically. They are actually doing themselves, doing just like policing themselves now, and say, listen, if you're not going to do nothing about it, the establishment's not going to do nothing about it, I'm going to do something about it, and I'm going to walk off the field, which is kudos to them. But for me, at that time in our lives and way football was then, we didn't have the support to be able to be doing that. And if we'd done that, we'd probably get told that we're this and we're that and we're sport brats, or why can't you just do that? You got to be a team player before yourself and all that. So we didn't have the confidence to come out and do such valiant things. So in one way, it's a good thing that players now feel confident enough and feel that they have the support to be able to walk off the pitch in that circumstance. On the other hand, should it be the players' responsibility? Why should the person at the receiving end of abuse be the person who has to do something to fix it? Well, it's a bit of both, because, like you say, walking off the pitch doesn't always work. You've seen it with Suleiman Tari. He did what we call the right thing, walked off the pitch and ended up getting a red card and was suspended. So I feel like on both sides of it... Marega got a yellow. Yeah, that's what I mean. So it's not always the best thing to do, but the players feel like they have to do something, which shouldn't be the case. The players are there, they work in the industry, and they should be protected by all the governed bodies around them, and that's who should make the call. The players shouldn't feel like they have to do it. The reason why the players are doing it is because they feel like they're not getting help or protected from anywhere else. No support. This is their only option to make people like say, all right, enough is enough now. And that's the only reason why I think the players have come up with a solution, just walk off the pitch. Is it something that players should be dealing with, do you think, Carlton? As Shaun's saying, is it the players' responsibility to do something about this? The problem is, right, it's not the player's responsibility to do anything, really. We're just out here to play football. The only responsibility we have is how our social media, our performances on the field, obviously, and just walking around town knowing that you are part of something and you represent something and putting yourself in a good light. That's the only thing you're responsible for, just your self-image and how you look to other people. What you can't control is the fine systems, the governing bodies, as Wrighty said. The governing bodies need to do more so we don't have to feel like we have to do more. Do you understand? Like we feel like we have to do more now because we are not being protected. Whereas that's not our responsibility. Our responsibility is just to play football. We're in a time and place now where footballers earn so much money and people used to throw that, you earn so much money, I'll get called that name. Do you know what I mean? I'll get called that name for that amount of money. No, why should you? Like, why should we be subjected to racism when you don't need to be? Like, and you got people that are earning loads of money upstairs as well that could actually come down and protect you because you're a part of them as well because you are working in this establishment and this is what your bread and butter is. So what you need to do is just focus on football. You don't need to be focused on, am I going to get taunted because of I've got a different colour skin to that person, or am I going to be ashamed of where I come from? Because there's no need for all of that. So I'm just thinking right now, the governing bodies need to do a lot more and dish out the right punishment.
In terms of what, bigger fines, banning fans, what sorts of things are you talking about?
Well, I've always just said, like, because it's very hard to police. Like, you obviously, one fan, I think from our previous conversations yesterday on the topics, we obviously highlighted where a group of fans pointed out where the racist chants were and that person got kicked out. But some fans will be scared to do that because they don't know what the repercussions is if that person finds out, it was you that told on me that I did racial chants. But so it's hard to police. But I've always just said, you know what, just ban that section of fans.
Listen, it's quite easy.
I don't think it's as easy as I'm making it sound. I think there's more logistical things to do around making that happen. But I just feel like that'll make people think before they talk or do actions. And I go football matches, you go football matches, you go football matches. If you're there with your family and your kids, you don't want them to be around that and thinking it's okay to say that to another person, regardless of the colour of their skin. Like that, it just shouldn't be tolerated. Like, the game is based on emotions, happiness, and it brings a lot of cultures and races together. So the fact that it brings different cultures and races together, why are these people in the stands trying to divide it?
Well, you got to look at it like, as you said, it's bringing a lot of people together. But then you get a few that don't want to be together.
Then don't come to the game.
No, but as soon as football, sport in general, is a tool for unity.
Of course.
Yeah? So as soon as you walk through those gates to go and watch a football match, whatever you're thinking about that different race there, that person there, that should just be eliminated from your thoughts.
Yeah, leave it out.
Yeah? So what should happen now is fans should be calling out other fans, and if they need to do something about it, they do something. Which there's another example. I think you said it yesterday. I think of how it should be done when the fans started saying Nazis out.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They started chanting Nazis out. That's people coming together,
taking a
stand against the 1 or 2 or 3 people that are actually messing up the game for everybody else. And that's where the whole world needs to come together and unite, because there's loads of us that actually see sense, and there's just a minority that don't. And listen, you might not change their views, yeah, but at the same time, what we can do is try and change them coming into our environment
and spoiling,
and then we could square it out.
And you mentioned this idea that if whatever you think outside of the ground, when you come and you park that, and then the sport should unify. But there's the other version, which is these so-called 90-minute racists, who are people who will say, in my everyday life, I don't hold these views, I don't use these words, I don't behave in this way. But when I come into a football ground, that is how I behave. Is that possible?
So basically, he's saying he's only racist for 90 minutes.
Yeah, because it's gonna help the team probably. Listen,
it's not possible.
These people just need to be consistent throughout their whole lives, innit? just be consistent throughout your whole life. Listen, if you're a racist, you're a racist. Don't try and switch it on, switch it off. Like life don't work like that because you'll get found out at the end of the day. So just try and keep it consistent. If you're a racist, at least I know where you are. Yeah. And if I want to go and get abused one day, I'll come and find you. Do you know what I mean? But I'm just saying, if you're a racist and you really hate black people or you really hate other cultures and you don't like other people's backgrounds, then just keep it away from that environment. Go and do that outside. Don't do it at football, because football is a place of unity. If
you were on the pitch and you were being racially abused by a section of a crowd rather than by an individual, would you feel? Yeah, but would you feel? Not better is not the word, but would you feel differently if you knew that there were going to be real sanctions for those people who were being racially abusive?
I think if players, I can't speak for every player, but from my view, I feel like they defend themselves the way they do because there is no support. So I feel like if they had the right punishments and people could see it being enforced to the full effect, I feel like players may speak out, but not as regularly because they know they've got the support behind them to set the punishment straight.
Okay, so the punishment to the club or to the player?
To the fans. Sorry. Well, the club would get punished anyway, but I feel like if the people knew the fans were definitely getting like what they deserve for ruining.
What would you say they deserve?
Like Kelly said, I think if it was like, say, in the Porto game, it sounds like it's just the whole section. Yeah. It doesn't sound like it's like 3 or 4 people. The whole sounds section, like. So I'd just say ban that whole section. I think the more like they realise, like, because there's going to be people in that section that's being punished for not doing a thing. Exactly. So what's going to happen? It's going to turn a responsibility to that fan sitting in there because he wants to go and watch the games and he wants his kids to grow up. And you're spoiling it for me. Yeah, and you're spoiling it. So I feel like that will create them to start policing it themselves because they don't want to miss the next game. So I feel like just ban them, and then if they do it again, ban them for 2 games, and the more they do it, just extend it.
So the sections of the crowd.
No, but like whatever. So say there's a section of 3,000 people, ban that whole section.
There was also the Craig Ramage incident, who said, when I look at certain players, their body language, their stance, the way they act, you just feel, hold on a minute, he needs pulling down a peg or 2. So I'd probably say that about all the young black lads. Yeah. Thoughts?
He's just put a blanket over every black person to go with, mate. Basically. Look,
Coley will tell you, for example, like his body language and my body language are completely different. That doesn't mean we're not going to give 110%.
Well, he's shorter for once, isn't he? And I'm lanky. You know what I mean?
And I'm quicker.
He was never quicker than me. But, bruv. In my prime.
I was quicker than you.
Is it?
Yeah, you know this.
All right, cool. Yeah, he was. But like now we're retired now, I could actually talk about it. But let's not laugh. This is a serious subject.
Yeah. So, but for me, I just think it's bad from him. Like he's basically just stereotyping young black kids in the Derby team. Like
he's apologised, but whether he misspoke
it seems like it's a personal opinion.
But we can only take it on what has actually been said.
Of course. Yeah. And I just feel like there's other words he could have used. Yeah. Like the start of the sentence and what he said was fine. There was no reason to put black players. He could have just said
like, especially the black lads.
Yeah, he could have just said like there's a lot of young talent in there without the right attitude that need pulling down a peg or 2. It was just as easy as that to say.
And is the issue with this and in specifying the young black players in the side, is the issue with this that it does buy into a sort of long-standing lazy racial stereotype?
Yeah. Well, for me, right, I was always classed as lazy. Cole doesn't run about.
No, I meant the stereotype was lazy, not that. But yeah,
I used to get that from when I was young. Like, mate, I don't know if I could have run any harder. Yeah, but I always got called lazy. Like maybe because I was always late and all that sort of stuff. So I did like my bed. Not gonna lie, but I always got labelled lazy because it was just stereotypical. And I was thinking, maybe I'm lazy. I started to buy into it. Maybe I'm lazy. Do you know what I mean? So I was getting brainwashed with it as well. I was like, oh, maybe. So that's why I used to run through brick walls just to show that I wasn't lazy. Do you know what I mean? But
that idea of you then internalising the racial stereotype is really interesting, because you then start, if somebody tells you something often enough, you start to believe it about yourself, even when it's demonstrably not true.
But some people bounce back from it. Like, he's mentally stronger in certain ways. These kids that he's talking about might not be built like that and be able to deal with it like that. Like, Coley's the man that will be like, all right, I'm going to prove you wrong. These kids might just crumble and go into a shell, then that could be like that career over with.
And that's why I said to you earlier, why does like, it just seemed to us as black players, we had to work harder and longer than the white boys. Do you know what I mean? When we was growing up. So we had to, it's like and then we always used to say to each other, well, you know, it's because we're black. That's why you got to work double as hard, mate. Do you know what I mean? That was what it was. You are black, you got to work double as hard. Harder than the white guys. And I was thinking, when I look back at hindsight now, I'm thinking, bloody hell, I actually did work. And that's why we got labelled as workhorses and muscle.
Those stereotypes of you're either lazy, or then when you work hard, then you become a workhorse. And Carlton talking about his reaction to them, where he's starting to question himself. That's where the danger in these stereotypes is, isn't it? When that you will have young black players taking them on board, even if they're not, like, because you were saying your stats would always completely disprove the fact that you were lazy. They would always show that you were working hard.
But this is an
and yet you're still questioning yourself.
Racism as well. So I'll tell you why as well. Because not so long ago, I was talking about what plays we might want to look at as I was doing something for some academy, and then the guy goes to me. He was a white guy, by the way, and I wouldn't have him down as racist or anything like that. But because there's a stereotypical outlook on black players, he said, "We're looking for BBQs." So I've gone. BBQs, what's that? This is a new slang to me. Like, he's going, oh yeah, big, black and quick. So I was like, hold on a minute. Why isn't there big, white and quick? Why does it always just have to be big, black and quick? So this is what I'm trying to say. Black players were stereotyped to be in a certain way, and white players were stereotyped to be in a certain way as well. So we're being all sectioned of what kind of player you are. So if you're not, come on, you're not.
I'm big.
You're not big, bro.
I am big.
You're not big, but you had strength and pace and power, yeah. But my type of player, I was big, black and quick.
So you was BBQ.
So I was a BBQ. Do you know what I mean? And he's actually telling me I need BBQ, just a bit like you, Coley. Do you know what I mean? Like, I was like, oh my God. So that is racism in itself.
And I think this is where there are a lot of people who don't understand the subtleties of the difference between describing somebody in a way that you might have a player who is big, who is black, and who is quick. But the problem is that you have to be very careful labelling them as such, because it buys into a stereotype.
What about the white players are big and quick as well? Like, why does it have to just be black?
But that's what I mean, is that the people, that I think this comes down to a subtlety that a lot of people don't understand, that they don't understand the difference between being descriptive and being prejudiced, and not prejudiced in a hateful way, prejudiced in an unthinking and unconscious way.
That's what it is. Education and how to look. If you really want to say certain things, there's ways of putting it that it doesn't come across racist or dumb. Like, because to me that's kind of dumb. Like, because there's other players out there that, if you want to put in that category, don't have to be black. It could be a white person, could be a Chinese person. You don't know. Like, we all got attributes. We all got attributes. Do you know what I mean? So you don't have to say the black doesn't have to be involved in it. Do you know what I mean? So it's hard. It's hard to get out of that loop where people have actually look at you in that stereotypical way. But we're getting there slowly. We are getting there.
We probably all carry prejudices and I'm not talking necessarily about racial prejudices. We probably all make judgments about people very, very quickly and unconsciously. It's about being aware
of what
that they might be there, and sort of checking yourself before you go to use as something that could be seen as a stereotype. I'm interested in your position though as a coach, and whether you feel that maybe you hold any sort of unconscious bias. Do you feel it, or is it something that you're aware of and look for in yourself?
Well, for me, as I said, as I was saying earlier, when we say you're black, you got to work twice as hard. Yeah. So when I look at the black lads that we have in our group, I'm looking at them. I'm thinking, you lot are good players. Yeah. But sometimes your body language, tells a different story. You may want it in your mind, but to the person, the governing body that's actually looking over you saying, we're going to give you a contract, if you're not coming with the right body language, then, I'm sorry, my friend, you might not get what you want.
But then it's hard.
But it's hard. But I understand to a degree, but then you have white boys in the group as well. It's just not just about the black boys. There's white boys in the group that have the same attitude as the black boys, yeah? But the white boys, they know that they might have the upper hand because of their skin colour, and they know that they're more favoured. I'm not saying
is that right? Do you think that happens?
No, but in their head, psychologically, that happens. Okay. I'm not saying it is what happens.
It's a belief they have.
It's a belief they have. So that's why some of the black players might look at it and think, oh man, why is he getting that treatment all the time? Then they start using the race card. Do you know what I mean? Because it's in the DNA. It's installed that you've got to work twice as hard. Do you know what I mean? So it's really, it's a balance with it, because you want the boys to do really well, no matter what colour they are. But the white boys might seem to think that they've got it better than the black boys, and the black boys might think the white boys have got it better than them. So it's a really hard thing to do right now.
Because I don't know where
there's just so much intricacies to it.
Yeah,
it's so deep and it's embedded, and it's just trying to untie it all, and then we'll be fine.
And that's one of the features of what we're talking about. The two incidents in particular that we're talking about is that conversations and debates about racism have become intricate, and they have become deep, and they have become about the sort of unconscious levels. But what we've been talking about are two overt examples of racism, where a player is racially abused at a match, and where you have somebody who goes on and appears to throw a blanket, as you say, over the young black players at Derby. How important is it, the way that this has been reacted to, or the comments from Craig Ramage have been reacted to? So the BBC have said they're not going to employ him again. There's support from Derby player Max Lowe, who came out and spoke very strongly, made a very strong statement on this. How important is the reaction to what is said? I
think so far, from what we've heard and read, I think the reaction has been the right reaction. The message that came out on Twitter was very powerful. I feel like now, the fact that he hasn't got a job, it might have hit home for him. I feel like now he will sit down and think about it, hence the reason why he's going to apologise, or he has apologised. But then it's too late. Like, I feel like for him, he's a pundit. You have a professional courtesy.
Yes.
And your professional courtesy shouldn't be saying what you said.
Yes.
He's just took a shortcut and a lazy route to get to the point that he wanted to get to, it seems like. And he's just thrown himself under the bus by, just like you said, stereotyping all the young black players at Derby.
Yeah, that's not
now, as much as the Derby players have said what they said, now it's back on them in a way, because now they have to show that, for one, what you said is wrong, and this is what the player I'm capable of. And it's exactly kind of what Carlton has done. When he was told he was lazy, he said, okay, cool, I'm going to show you I'm not lazy. Now they have to be professional players and say to themselves, like, it's time for me to show that what you said is wrong. Now they have to up their game and show people what they're really about. For me, that's what I would do as a player. I'd say, okay, you made that racist remark. Now I'm going to show everybody that you're talking rubbish.
So such an interesting conversation, and obviously we're just scratching the surface of it here, but it's important that we have these conversations to sort of move everything on and to keep it in the lights, I think.
Yeah, you've got to keep it in the light. It's been in the dark for so long. I think there's things that needed to be addressed back in the day that didn't get addressed. And I think, obviously, as social media and everything right now, and the light's on it right now. So right now, we just got to make good use of it while it's here, so we can try and eradicate it as much as possible. We might not get it fully gone, but while it's in the light, we need to eradicate it while it's in the light. And otherwise, we might not get a chance to do it again.
And like Shaun said, you don't want it to just be around for a day and then forgotten about
that's like old newspaper news. Like, we don't want to do that again.
This is Liquid Football on Joe. I'm Kelly Cates. Alongside me, Shaun Wright-Phillips and Carlton Cole. If you like what you see and you hear, then please leave us a nice review on iTunes or YouTube. TKO with Carl Frampton is back. And in the latest episode, Carl and Chris Lloyd were joined by WWE legend Kurt Angle to compare notes on training, injury and pain.
You're watching Liquid Football on Joe.
I had, and I still have it now, is an amateur wrestling right before the Olympics. I got thrown on my head and I broke my neck. And I didn't know it, and I kept wrestling. And that day I ended up winning the U.S. Open, and that put me in a good position to make the Olympic team for the Olympic trials. It made me the top guy, so I didn't have to wrestle the mini tournament to face the winner of the mini tournament. I was the guy that the mini tournament faced. So I couldn't get passed by any doctor. No doctor would pass or would allow me to wrestle. So I eventually found a doctor, and he said the only thing you can do, you can't train. We'll just stick you in the neck with Novocaine, and you won't feel the pain. And he was right. Every match I had at the trials and the Olympics, I got 12 shots of Novocaine in the back of my neck. Wow. Couldn't feel it for about an hour. I'd go out and wrestle, and then an hour later, I'd be in a lot of pain again.
So you won the Olympic Games with a broken neck?
Yeah.
That was WWE legend Kurt Angle speaking on TKO to Carl Frampton and Chris Lloyd. You can watch the whole show on YouTube, or you can download it as a podcast. Check out House of Rugby with James Haskell as well.
You're watching Liquid Football on Joe.
Now for the Liquid Football Challenge, and this week there is some clue by the fact that the guys are sitting here in boiler suits with a lump of clay in front of them. It is a modelling assignment, but maybe not the kind you're used to. You're going to make one of your former managers out of clay. You're going to make Sam Allardyce, Carlton.
Yes, Sam's getting it.
He's certainly getting the full clay treatment, that is true. And for you, Shaun, it is Sven-Göran Eriksson.
I'm going to give it my best shot, but not really at art and crafts.
You have 20 minutes. Well, Carlton's shown some real aptitude in art and crafts, but
this could go any way.
You have 20 minutes. Your time starts now.
Bloody hell. That's weighty, isn't it?
Yeah, it's heavy.
Shaun's is looking vaguely face-shaped already.
Okay, Sam, come on. Work with me. Work with me. Let me see ya. Where's your face?
Here we go.
All right,
I'm
almost
the
there.
part now. I'm not going to get the nose out.
I'm just trying to mould it, trying to see his face come through, and I can see it now, so I'm almost there. Okay, yeah, I've got this done. Yeah. I might go into art if this comes
It's not
good.
that big, though. I've given him a dead small nose. Made his hair look longer than it actually is.
It looks like he's got, it's all swept back, isn't it?
Yeah. The wet look I've got.
That's early Sven. You've gone for early Sven.
Gonna go proper detail now.
Good luck with
His forehead's not big enough, man.
Give him too much hair, ain't you?
Nah. Just done his eyes too high to the top. We'll give him some eye bags, boy. He's had no sleep for like decades.
Big Sam.
Yeah. So if I get this right, this might be my new career path. To get these chops in, mate. He needs bigger chops than this. He's bigger chops.
Are you thinking about Sven the person while you're making him?
Yeah, I think I'm going a bit further back to his more youthful days, I should say.
What was he like?
I thought it was quite good for me. He always kept my confidence high and always wanted me to enjoy myself out there as well as go out there and do the task in hand.
Have you still got a good enough relationship that you could maybe send this to him as a gift?
No, I don't think we have, but I would still like to send it to him.
Carlton, you're something of a Sam obsessive, aren't you?
I know, like, Skeezer thinks I'm stalking him.
He will now.
I'm going to send this to him. He's going to appreciate it.
I'm done.
I can see yours isn't. I can't
I need to smooth mine out a little. Massage his face.
He's got a bit of a dent in his head.
Massaging Big Sam's face.
That's what I think I need to do, is smoothing him a little
Does
bit
it feel a bit weird once they start to look a bit like them? Does it feel a bit weird that you're prodding their face?
This doesn't look like Sam, trust me. This doesn't look like Sam. But yeah, it's actually, I'm actually proud of this so far.
Good.
Finitoed.
You're finished.
Yeah, in my head, I'm finished. I don't think everyone will agree with me, but...
Okay.
That Tash, it actually looks like he's Tash back in the day as well. He's been cutting his chin off.
He's got like a dimple chin, isn't he?
If you see,
Can't rush art. I think I'm done.
let's see. Are you happy with your with your finished product? Right, go on then. Ready for the big reveal? 1.
Oh my God.
2. Is it easier to turn the paper rather than lift it up, or is it?
Oh, I've made his cheek thingy, ain't I?
What have you done his cheek? This is
There he is.
There you go.
That's actually really good. I tell you what.
Decent, isn't it? That's class, isn't it?
Oh my God. If the game was that you were going to like make a football manager out of clay and then I had to guess who it was, I definitely would have guessed Sven and Sam.
Yeah.
From those two. Yeah, they're
I'll take
definitely
that.
recognisable. They are definitely recognisable. But for the attention to detail, I'm gonna have to give it to Carlton.
Thank you.
That's fine, mate.
Let me just drink my coffee.
You're watching Liquid Football on Joe.
Now, a story around in the last 7 days was the row between Bournemouth and the PGMOL. Bournemouth midfielder Dan Gosling said that John Moss showed zero respect and was a disgrace for making sarky comments about their league position. Is he right to go public with it? Are
No.
Bournemouth right to back him? What do you think?
I think he should have just kept his mouth shut and just dealt with it like in himself. He's got to be mentally stronger than that. Sorry, Gosling. I feel like if you can give abuse to a referee, you got to learn to take it back personally.
Is there any way in which a referee should have to hold themselves kind of above all that on pitch kind of chat and everything? Should a referee be above it? Should they be neutral and not wind players up?
I want a referee that's got a bit of personality. Do you know what I mean? Like, I want to have some banter. I need to be able to like talk to you and say, listen,
I can see
you got that all wrong, mate. I don't know what you're seeing. You need to go Specsavers. Yeah? Just banter like that, yeah? And then he's got to laugh back and then give you a little bit. We're humans.
Yeah,
we're not robots.
It's the same. Everybody will say to the ref if he makes a bad decision, like they do that. Like it's a
What
joke.
have you
You know
seen?
what I mean?
Like,
So I just feel like I get when some people say they expect him to be a bit more professional than that, but then at the same time that reverts back to us. Then we have to handle ourselves professionally. We go and abuse referees when they do something wrong. Yeah. So if we can abuse them, surely they have the right to defend
give
themselves.
banter. They're not even abusing you, though, right? They're just giving you a bit of banter.
They're playing the game, innit? Like I've
Better
had
that they say something back to you than book you, or so send you off.
And to be fair, that's how
if they said something back to you, then booked you. I'll be like, rah. You know what? Then I'll have something to say.
It's like a game, though, isn't it? Like I felt like there were certain referees, like because I used to think I can tackle. I still in my head think I can, but there was some where like. I know I should have been like yellow carded or booked, but I think because of going through the games, I would have a laugh and a joke with a referee and give him a bit of abuse. He kind of saw me
in
a different. Yeah,
it wasn't abuse.
You know what I mean? Well, banter, but like he kind of saw me in a different light.
Yeah.
So there was like fouls that maybe be a yellow card. It seemed like he would just give me like a yellow card, and I did it in the USL as well. when I was in America towards the end of my year. And there were some tackles that I looked back and I was like, oh my God, how didn't I get a red card for that? Do you know what I mean? But I think because it's like you build kind of a relationship, do you know what I mean? And then you see him the next game and it would just flow. It would just be banter all the way through. Coley would tell you, just have a laugh and a joke through the game. And I feel like that is football. Like football, you're meant to smile and enjoy it. All right, sometimes it don't go your way, but you're still lucky enough to play a game that you love and you enjoy. Now, the fact that he couldn't deal with that when he's most probably had what the ref said to him from the away fans.
I'm just saying that for me, yeah. If they was in 10th place, yeah, and they were comfortable, you think he's talking about the referee?
Well, John Moss wouldn't have said that though. He would have probably
given them a different sort of banter. But that was just the banter of the realism that he's in at the moment. It's realistic banter. Do you know what it is? It's just the deal with the banter, and you couldn't change it. So why are you just going to throw your toys out the pram and start saying, "Oh, we shouldn't say that"? Because all he's done is say your reality, basically. Yeah. You're down there, mate. Like, you're down there. Deal with it. Why are you down there? Like, so that actually should spur you on and say, do you know what? I'm gonna show you. He's right. But I'm going to show you that I'm better than that. And then I want to actually prove him wrong. Do you know what I mean? But not everyone's built like me, so I mean, so.
But also, I like the idea that talking to each other like that makes them feel more human, and that might actually end up working in your favour. But realising that you are just there, but because you want to be there, because actually, do you know what, it's not the worst life in the world. No, being a footballer, even at times being a referee is not the worst thing in the world.
Lovely.
But which referees did you like? Who were the best?
Uriah
to chat to.
I used to love his abuse because he used to always come across like he was the muscle man on the pitch and whatever he says goes. So when you had a chance to get one over on him, which I did.
Because he was stern, Uriah, man. He wasn't. He had that kind of demeanour. Was he a police? Did he used to be a policeman or something?
I think no. He didn't. He used to do karate or something like.
Oh, was it?
I think he might be, but
you want to banter him and take it the wrong way, would you?
Right. So, but
give you a roundhouse kick to your head.
There was a time where I'll be honest, I wasn't actually playing too well in this game, but he did something, and I gave him some abuse, some banter, and he just looked at me and said, how can you talk anyway? Have you seen the way you're playing today? And I had to just hold my hands up and I just laughed it off. And then after the game, we just laughed about it. And that's what football brings. You know what I mean? It's nice to have that in a game.
Yeah, definitely. Look, I didn't have a favourite ref.
Didn't like any of them.
I don't think anyone did go.
No, I didn't have a favourite ref, but like you got refs that
you get when the team sheets come and you see which referee is. You're like,
that's my mate. I'm gonna have a great game today. No. To be honest, right? Like for me, like if you. As I said, we gotta have banter with the ref, but I'll always have a talk with the ref all the way through. But they always penalise me for elbows. Like, I'll go up. It wasn't my fault. I was just clumsy, innit? I'm just a clumsy person. In general, like, I'll trip over that step right now. Like, and then, like, I don't mean anything by it. If I've elbowed someone by accident, it's not me being hard. It's just me being clumsy. And then, like, refs used to always try and penalise me because of that. And, like, so we just have a little talk at half time or whatever, and I'll say, okay, I'll try and jump like that then. Like, do you know what I mean? Because I am bigger than everyone. Do you know what I mean? If I try to elbow you, I'll go over your head. Do you know what I mean?
Colin, you remember when I marked you at the game?
When did you ever mark me at the game?
I was playing centre-back in the practice match for the England camp. We had like little friendly 11v11. I was like centre-back.
Do you know what?
Yeah, because we're filling spaces in it. So like, you never very rarely like someone was injured and I just filled in like and
you said you marked me out of the game.
Yeah, I'm just teasing, man.
Impossible. You nah. You never. I don't even think this happened all in his head, by the way, because I don't remember. Why would the gaffer tell you to go? Capello would never tell you to go centre back.
I just played centre back that day. I wouldn't say I marked you at the game, but I was centre back. But you played on the other side because clearly you were scared of my pace.
What? Oh my God! You see this kid? You're so gassed. You're so gassed.
Should we do some proper football chat? Like, actually, maybe talk about...
Let's talk about football. It's called football. Look, football.
The Champions League is back at the round of 16. Liverpool are off to Atletico Madrid. Borussia Dortmund host PSG. And then on Wednesday, Tottenham take on Leipzig and Atalanta play Valencia. These big Champions League nights, once you get to the knockout stages...
It gets fun.
It's fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, you should know because I only played one Champions League game or two.
As a player, it's like, I wouldn't say pressure, but Like you're always up for it, especially when
you feel different
when you hear the song at the beginning. Like you get like, right, it's like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, come on, let's do this.
Nice.
But there's a lot of ups and downs in it, as you see, and like a lot of big teams could go out. Like you saw it last year with Ajax, just came from nowhere and like steamrolled a lot of teams.
Yeah.
But there's some good draws. I'm looking forward, especially to the Tottenham Leipzig game.
What do you reckon that's going to go?
I don't know. You know what Mourinho's like? He always has like an ace up his sleeve. He seems to make it work all the time, and he's always good playing against.
But what I say to you earlier, like really and truly, his luck's coming back. Because I think he went for a period, the Mourinho luck, the special one was not special. But I think that special thing's coming back now, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, his decisions are like come back. We used to always say that when we played there. So, I think Tottenham will win, but I'm still sitting on a draw.
Yeah? I'm going Tottenham win with that one. But I looked at RB Leipzig's form. It's not too great.
No.
So I don't think Tottenham, and they're at home, and Tottenham's at home as well. Yeah. Spurs, they should be winning that game. If they don't win that game,
they should be winning.
If they don't win that game, then there's something wrong with Mourinho, because then he's definitely not the special one anymore.
He can't just be Mourinho.
You've just said it's all coming back for him. His luck's coming back. Everything's working.
No, but if he doesn't,
but if there's one result doesn't go his way, that's it. It's all gone.
I'm telling you, then he ain't special anymore to me. Then he's just a run of the mill.
Liverpool have already been beaten in the Champions League this season. Napoli beat them when Carlo Ancelotti was there. They've got Atletico Madrid on Tuesday night in Madrid. You just wonder if Simeone has set up a team there, and the whole club is really this incarnation of Atletico Madrid is in his image, really. Mm-hmm. You just wonder if they have the sort of type of side and the type of players that can really cause problems for Liverpool, particularly in Madrid.
I've always admired the way Atletico have actually played it. Their defence is second to none. They always seem to keep the game within arm's reach. Even if they lose a game, it will be in a position where normally they have a chance to come back at home, or even if it's away. But I feel like that's set up the way that Liverpool don't like to play against teams. So I feel like there will be chances, but then Liverpool's defence is just as good. So it's going to be a really, really good game to watch.
And Simeone is having a little bit of a wobble, and there are starting to be some questions asked about him at Atletico Madrid and whether or not he's going to see out his contract. I think he's there till 2022 officially, but there some question marks as to whether or not he'll stay there. So it might not be the worst time to play against Atletico Madrid. But for Liverpool, as much as anything, is it about keeping that run of form going as they go, that momentum right into the end of the season?
Definitely Liverpool are going to be wanting to keep that momentum. I think there's no better time to catch Atletico in this current form, because they're not barking up any trees at the moment. They're not really doing what I know they can do. I think Liverpool definitely have the upper hand in this game. Are they home or away?
Liverpool are away first, and then at home in the second.
So it's going to be hard, don't get me wrong. Yeah. Different climate. I don't actually know the climate over there.
It's Madrid, it's not that far away.
I actually don't know I don't know why I'm bringing the climate into it. But I think Liverpool definitely going to be...
It's going to be absolutely baking there. It's the humidity that's going to kill them.
But Liverpool, if they lose, it's theirs to win. Yeah. You know what I mean? The way they've been playing, they've not lost. And how long? It's crazy.
It's a front three, isn't it?
The front three, and you got Mane back as well.
Mane's fit.
So if you're saying about unlocking the defence, Mane will do that.
Yeah, but this is even, I've noticed with Liverpool this year, if they haven't played well, they've scored goals.
Yeah, and they'll get that last minute winner like they did the other day.
And that for a team,
10 clean sheets in the last 11.
For that in a team, it's really good to have that in a team.
Yeah. I'm just looking at the weather forecast.
Please, I want to know.
Tuesday night at 9 o'clock
in Madrid,
10 degrees.
Decent. That's not bad.
That's Liverpool weather.
It's between 3 and 14, but it might be sunny.
That's Liverpool weather in the summer.
Yeah, exactly that. There you go. And that is it for this episode of Liquid Football from Joe. My thanks to Shaun Wright-Phillips and to Carlton Cole. We're available every Monday. You can download the podcast or watch us on YouTube. And please leave us a nice review on iTunes if you like what you hear. We've also got a Facebook page as well. If you search for Liquid Football, you can join in the chat there. And remember to check out our other shows as well. House of Rugby with James Haskell and TKO with Carl Frampton. For now, though, thanks for listening. Bye-bye.